Welcome to Guided Soul Reflections with Sangeeta and Purnima, where healing meets real life. Whether you're spiritual, curious, or simply ready to live with greater awareness, we share through our own lived experiences simple and grounded ways to raise your energy and return to clarity, courage, and peace. And it's good to remember that it is real life, it's not perfect. And together we want to explore what it truly means to grow, heal, and awaken. And today's episode is all about fear, guilt, and shame. And before you go any further, I know our minds can go rushing. I want to say this clearly. These states are not weaknesses, and they are just something that we feel, and it's not that you have failed. They are signals, they are survival responses, and they deserve understanding, not our judgment. Hi, I'm Sangeeta Diwan, a spiritual mentor and an intuitive healer. I support individuals who are navigating grief, emotional pain, heartbreak, and trauma. And my work integrates transformative modalities such as RTT, Akashic Record Guidance, energy healing, and hypnotherapy. And everything I offer is grounded in the wisdom of my own journey through loss and profound healing.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Purnima. For a long time, I've lived from the outside in, achieving, adapting, staying strong, and quietly losing myself along the way. My awakening didn't begin with curiosity or seeking. It began when my body could no longer hold what the voice hadn't been allowed to say. Patterns of guilt, people pleasing, and constant self abandonment. What followed wasn't a retreat from real life, but a deeper return to it. Listening, moving inward and listening, meeting that discomfort with honesty, and to live from truth rather than survival. Today, I walk alongside others who recognize themselves in that story, not to fix, but to help them remember who they are beneath the patterns they learned to survive. Thank you.
Well, you know what? In this episode, again, we are not trying to move you out from fear, guilt, or shame, because I think you're going to do that after becoming aware of it. So we are answering a different question. We are talking about why do these states pull us inwards, and how do we meet them without getting stuck there? And that is so important. Whatever is going on in our lives, guys, it is there to teach us, if only we look at it as a teacher, as a lesson that we need to learn. Again, in our last episode as well, me and Purnima mentioned that it is earth school. We are here to learn and evolve as a soul. Yes, we get stuck in the story of who we are surrounding ourselves with, who we chose as a family, and we go through all these levels of consciousness that me and Purnima are sharing with you. So it's not about feeling shame about it. Again, shame, fear, and guilt. All of us feel that from time to time, but it is more about not judging ourselves but becoming aware. So yeah, Purnima, just tell us a little bit more about. We talked about David Hawkinson states of consciousness, and I want our listeners to go and really do a Google search, get the map out, because it'll really help you to see what we are talking about it. And it adds another modality of vision, because it's
Mm,
important to see what we are talking about. And we were talking about jumping from one state of awareness to another one, and especially if there's a huge gap, it's difficult. So tell us a little bit more about that.
sure, thank you. So, to the question that Sangeeta's just raised, right? Again, this is a reflective question. Why do these states pull us inward, and how do we meet them without getting stuck there, right? So, in the previous episode, we talked about awareness and awareness of what that trigger is, awareness of what that wound is, awareness of why we are stuck in a pattern. Sometimes we end up in relationships that keep showing up the same behavior. So why are we attracting this type of human being when it's absolutely not what we want? But yet it keeps surfacing, and it may be through a relationship, it may be through friendships, it may be even in our sibling relationships. So there's something here that you are trying to learn and let go, but because you don't have the awareness potentially, or you're stuck in fear or shame or guilt or pride or anger, you're not able to see that. And then you basically just circle that, you literally will just keep moving in that energy. And like we said, it's that, we create that pattern because we're stuck in a loop. So um, again, when you look at David Hawkins' map of consciousness, he refers to those as lower frequency states. And again, lower doesn't mean that you're bad or you're failed, or you're not able to move out of it. It is just giving you that awareness of where you're at in that moment. And sometimes that movement, you change. Certain, experiences will move you up, and or you may be in that joy in that brief moment, but where are you most times? How are you reacting to life most times? How are you viewing the world uh, in most of your experiences, be it at work, home, with your children, with your husband, with friends? Are you noticing that you're reacting a certain way all the time, regardless of who it is with? So, and that agency can only sit with you as an individual, right? You have to take ownership of understanding. And sometimes when you're in that anxiety, you're not able to feel where you're at. So trying little practices of silence, meditation. Sangeeta did a exercise in the previous episode of feeling where you're at. So if you follow that, it'll allow you to understand where you're at. So you may not immediately know, but there's tools to help you understand where you predominantly operate from, or within. So these are, so the lower frequency states are contracted states. So contraction, again, I think I touched on it in the other episode, is very much um, it's how we feel energetically and physically. So this is where your nervous system is trying to protect you, right? So it's when this energy, when you're in a contracted energy state, your body tightens, you feel anxious, you feel in your stomach, you feel this feeling of dread in a sense, your attention narrows. It's like when we talk about the survival instinct. It's almost that you're basically going into survival mode. So you can imagine when you're in survival mode, what's happening to you physically, what's happening to you mentally, and very honestly, most of us, for the longest time, operated or are still operating in survival mode. We constantly view the world as an attack of some form, or so we surviving through either scarcity, or in the workplace we're competing, or at home we're trying to navigate whatever that conflict is. So we constantly in survival mode, and with that we create patterns, and then through that we get illnesses that we don't understand. But as you go through this journey, you'll understand that. So and these are just examples, right? We talk about fear, guilt, shame, there's grief, there's desire, there's fear, anger, pride. All of those are just examples of the extreme of how you're basically approaching life. If you're angry all the time, you have to understand what is it that's causing that anger, because that anger is harming yourself before anyone else. It's actually harming yourself. So we'll give examples of how this has manifested in our lives and what that taught us. But again, it's not a failure. These are awarenesses for you to understand where you're at, and through that awareness, like we explained in the previous episode, you're able to change, you're able to move and create something different. So the contraction isn't a weakness, it's protection. And yeah, we'll talk to I'll hand over to you, Sangeeta, to talk through examples in your life where you've felt this and how you've navigated it, understood it, navigated it, and then changed it for yourself.
Mm. Wow, it's when I was listening to you, Purnima, it's like took me someplace where I was quite young actually, and just expressing your anger and frustration and what you're going through it. and I'll touch upon a time which was very unpleasant in my life, where I was, bullied, and then growing up, feeling not enough. And then there was for few years, quite a few years, I was going through some abuse kind of thing, and that was and different kind of abuse as well. And sometimes when something is happening to you, you blame yourself, so you feel the guilt. Maybe I have done something wrong, and that's my punishment. Or maybe I have something in me that has attracted that kind of behaviors from other people.
Mhm.
And I remember a lot of my time feeling guilt and shame and carrying that weight. And of course, I couldn't talk to anybody else because I never felt safe that
Mm.
I can share that with my parents or with my peers or anybody else. But how I dealt with it, I remember at that time, is wearing this mask of being very happy.
Mm.
Everything is normal.
Mm.
Everything is normal, because that's the only way I could feel safe. I thought that I could survive, you know, but constantly carrying that, oh my God, what's next, or what's going to happen, and just protecting myself. So, you have this shell of protection around you without you realizing that you're carrying that.
Mhm.
It gets heavy. It's the
Mm.
armor that you're putting
Mm.
around you. And you're saying, how do I navigate life? How do I navigate people? Is this what life is about? Is everybody like that, or is everybody going to treat me like that? Why do I deserve it? And the stories we hear and we keep telling ourselves is somewhere that we don't deserve the kindness of people. We don't deserve the love. We deserve this kind of abusive behavior. We deserve somewhere. And you, without even realizing, you form that belief.
Mm.
And before you know it, that belief is starting to create your reality. So
Mhm.
now, whatever is going to come to you, you're creating from a place of fear, rather than from a place of love. And that doesn't mean that everything after that came in my life wasn't love or pleasant, but a lot of times I was triggered. I was carrying those wounds for so long, for like over 20 years and things like that, before I could even realize, oh my God, the fear, the guilt, the shame that I've been carrying, it's not even mine. Why should I feel shame
Mm.
when somebody else behaved like that with me?
Mm.
Why? I was a young girl. I didn't know any better. I didn't have the courage to speak up, because again, then you feel like you're going to hurt a lot of people around you.
Mhm.
And maybe those people are not emotionally that strong, because they are going to now pinpoint fingers at you. And then how are you going to deal with that? So then everybody around you will look at you differently. They will maybe not love you. They will discard you. They will, again, blame you. So I had to navigate a lot of that, since I was like 15 till later on in my life. And it was long, long time. But again, didn't realize I was carrying so much burden, you know. And so for me, and again, that later on in my life, it happened to me when my husband was diagnosed with multiple brain tumor, and was told that he have less than 6 months to live. Again, that fear came up, showed up in my life, and I was like, okay, now what? And it was like, now it's like fear was like standing right in front of me. It's like, look
Mm.
at me now.
Mm.
Before that, I could put a nice other things, I can ignore, I can suppress.
Mm.
Now I could not suppress, I could not run away from it. I had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And the minute, like we talked about awareness, the minute I looked fear into the eyes of like, okay, this is what you're showing me, that now how do I survive this? I didn't do I was not I didn't do a job. I didn't have any income. I was doing some energy work and things like that, but here, there, and I was more focused on taking care of my children and my home, but I loved doing Reiki healing and other things else, but I didn't created my business or anything like that. I was like, okay, if somebody I found, and I was not even advertising and things like that. So it was like the fear was like, okay, you might be homeless. You might not have any income. You might how you're going to take care of children. So everything. What happens is the minute I looked at the fear in its eyes, it just had no power over me anymore, and that was liberating. That was freeing. But yet every day I have to look at that and say, okay, I'm going to deal with it. Now I don't want that fear to be more powerful than I am.
Mm.
All that 12 years of work of spiritual journey and the things I learned about soul journey and soul contracts and what lessons to learn and all of that, I'm going to learn each day, every day, whatever lesson it presents me, no matter how hard it is. I'm not going to run away from it. And I felt that facing the fear of losing somebody you love, I don't think that you can have biggest any big fear than that.
Mm. Mm.
I'm getting a bit emotional,
Mm.
but again, it's about, yeah, okay, I have lived most of my life like that. Um, and I'm going to look you in the eye and saying, no, you will not defeat me this time.
Yeah.
I know I have enough knowledge of soul. I have enough tools to use. I have created certain practices, daily practices. I'm going to go through this with as much courage I have in me. I will give it all, everything I learned in life, and I had to just go through it, live through it. And that's why now I'm writing a book,
Mm.
which I will share with the world with my journey and how I overcome certain things. I'm still overcoming, it's the journey
Mm.
never ends.
And
You always carry on evolving, sometimes things, present in a different way. But again, it's about when you are, I'm looking at David Hawkins' chart right now. I remember, staying in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. So fear is 100, like level of consciousness, what he has given a number.
mm.
But I want to be in love and joy, which is 500, over 500. So how do you jump from
Mm.
100 to 500 is too far again. So I had to realize that, yeah, if even in the moments I can create joy, there's an
Yeah.
opening of, and once I know, create it consciously. Before that, I was creating all love and joy and everything else unconsciously
Yeah.
because it felt good. You
Yeah.
know, I am a joyful being and I love laughing and I love sharing and I love, taking care of others. But again, I realized that no, most of my life I stayed in this lower vibration. Again, we're not saying it's bad, but once you realize that, oh my God, I can do something about it, even the moments we spent with my husband who we were losing him and the truth was staring us in in our yeah, it was all around us. I still could, with the awareness, with the consciousness that I learned, I could create moments of joy.
Mm.
With him, we created more memories. We talked about lovely memories that we have already created with our children, the things we did together, which were very, very powerful. So in those moments of like, oh, life is over, I took the I took the different approach and saying, no, life isn't over yet.
Mm.
We still have him, and that only comes from awareness and the work I did. And I realized that all that work I did was for me to go through something like that, something huge like that, with awareness, with kindness, with approaching that, no, I am not going to let fear overpower me.
Yeah.
I'm going to overpower this situation with so much of love in my heart and so much of acceptance that, okay, I cannot change what is happening right now, but I can change how we go through it. And
Yeah.
that only comes with awareness. So, that's.
That's So, firstly, let's just take a moment, right? There's a lot that you've shared there, Sangeeta. So, thank you so much. I'm sure people are going to resonate with quite a bit that you've said. Very, there's quite a few key parts there around abuse of some, of different kinds. There's the loss of grief, and firstly, thank you for the vulnerability, and I can see obviously how emotional you are, and I know you've shared that story with me. So thank you. It'll help people, and the other part is, I know. There's someone that Nimesh always says this is all co-creation. So in sharing, we hope, we talked about it at the start, that this isn't a perfect life, it's real life. And the reason we felt compelled to share our stories is to show and to help. We are being guided, we're channels, we share the guidance from the universe. And even if it helps one person, that's enough.
Yeah.
So thank you. And yes, the book coming out is very exciting. It's you'll talk about it as we carry on, but that's another manifestation of sharing your story, and hoping that people that love reading will have an opportunity to heal through that. So thank you. um there's similarities in our stories in in many ways, and yeah, there's, again, I won't necessarily go into the detail of it, but I feel, the again, that those frequencies of shame, guilt, fear um, played a big part in my life. How I chose to show up in front of the world was very different, though. So, if friends over the years are listening to this, obviously close friends know, but not many do. They'd be potentially, shocked to hear some of the stuff, or surprised, maybe not shocked, maybe surprised, because yeah, we put those masks on. We create this version of ourselves to survive, because we have to survive. We have to survive. So we can't show up each day with those wounds uh, glaring in all parts of our life, because we wouldn't be able to. It's too much. Not too much for someone else or for yourself, but you have to do it in. You have to do it. You have to deal with it in with gentle care, I guess. And so we create these survival mechanisms around us, and that may be through friendships, that may be through um, traveling, or just putting these masks. But those masks cannot continue to stay, because when you're doing that consistently, which I'll talk through my experience, that's where illness comes in. That's where self-abandonment comes in. That's where um, anger comes in, because you're not truly showing up as who you are. So that there's a tipping point of where that survival masks become something else, and it's that awareness to know, okay, now you're operating from another state of consciousness. So my story is similar. I'd say 1 to 22, 23 was filled with various forms of, and I use the word abuse. It's uncomfortable, but be it emotional, physical, mental, and you know, um, another form of abuse, which you can see I'm uncomfortable saying, labeling it, but yeah. And in all of that, you start living, understanding that there's something in you that just starts operating from that wounds, that so you're fearful will show up as avoidance of conflict. Shame and guilt will be, you never want to show your true self, because your true self, you think, is not a nice version, because to your point, did I do something to deserve this? Have I projected something am I less than, and this is why this has happened to me. So um, yeah, it's and especially when you're a kid, you don't know, so you're trusting everything and everyone around you to know, and so you experience it, and then you either hide it very deep within your consciousness, so your consciousness, and then you start surviving. So you realize, okay, there's a game. You have to play this game to survive. You need to be perfect, or you need to be the best, or you need to escape. So these things start showing up around you, and I didn't realize that I was doing this. To be honest, I felt like I even when I left home, I mean, I even changed my name. It's only on reflection that I realized I changed my name because I needed to leave that version behind so I could survive. And then only when I came out of that, I've gone back to, the full name Panima, but I've been known as Nima for many years. And it was interesting once. So I love entertaining or hosting, and I would have people at home and various size of parties, and I would spend hours making sure everything is okay and perfect. Perfect. I'd say everything's perfect. And then when people were there, still I'm like perfecting everything. And I used to always look at my husband and I see his face, and I felt like he was getting more and more upset as the party went on. And I thought it's because he didn't want to have the party, or, I created these narratives in my head. And uh, as the evening went on, he'd be more upset, and then he'd say to me, "Can you just relax and come and join?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'm fine, Uh, I'm just wanting to make sure everyone's okay and having a good time." So that's how I justified it to myself. And then at the end of the evening, we'd have a conversation or something, and then like, "Well, why were you so upset?" And then I thought he's upset, then I'm upset, and then and then that went on for years. It's just like a strange thing because I never understood it. And then I read something once, it just a glimpse of it, and it said trauma response. And I think I touched on it previously about empathy. And when empathy is operating from a, because I am empathetic, there's no doubt about it, I feel, etc. But when you're operating from a trauma response, it becomes the unbalanced version of that. And what I was doing, so my husband was observing me, and what he was seeing is someone in pain, someone that's trying to perfect everything. There was no joy. I thought I was being joyous. I thought I'm happy in that moment, but it was just pain. The amount of effort that I was, because what I was trying to avoid was avoid conflict at all costs. I didn't want an opportunity in that party to create any moment that someone would be unhappy, because my fear was that if there was, if someone's unhappy, it's going to reach conflict, and conflict's going to reach some form of violence or physical, or so my head, in my body, my mind, my soul, I was constantly trying to protect myself from any form of conflict, because conflict to me led to something else. So if we just even take a moment to reflect on that, how much of energy we're putting into avoiding something. So because I was avoiding conflict, and that be in the workplace, I would then take on more responsibilities because I was scared to speak up. The people pleasing through friendships, I'd be like, I would exert myself. I'll see 10 friends in a day to try and make everyone happy, but at the expense of myself. And then I'm exhausted. I have nothing to give myself. But I felt safe because I avoided all of that pain. I avoided all of that conflict. So it's that people pleasing, it's the over giving, it's the perfection, it's the control. And even now talking about it, gosh, I feel exhausted just even thinking, how does one operate in that? So those wounds, I know people say that, oh, everyone's talking about trauma wounds and childhood wounds, and they have an impact. We just don't know what that impact is until we have that awareness. And the moment we have the awareness, we can let go of that story. We don't need to hold on to it and creating a narrative around it. So there's many examples, but that for me played out in many ways across life. And the moment I had the awareness, oh my word, it was just such a relief to let go and, yeah, to, sort of move out of that survival mode and start truly operating in peace and joy and courage. So yeah, that's my lived example as such.
Again, thank you again for you to be vulnerable as well, and I think we'll go in different spaces, and we'll touch about that abuse kind of word and topic, because I know a lot of people suffer from it and nobody talks about it. And I think so we will be guided in whichever episode to share more. But again, I have so much love for you, and thank you for going there, because I was guided to go there. But one thing that Purnima, that you show, and I have done this perfectionism kind of thing, but little less kind of thing, because I have seen my mom going through what you've gone through. She would do her, it's like every ounce of her, she would give and make sure that everybody's happy. And my dad's side
Mm,
of the family was huge, her side of the family was huge. And when that function or that event would finish, she would shatter. She was like shattered. And I could see she's going to be like, it's like, why are you doing that kind of thing?
mm,
What? And I was having a chat with a client last week, and her mom, and she's trying to do that, and her mom does that. And something came out of me, was that, when we don't feel we are perfect,
mm.
we want to make everything else perfect
Perfect. Yeah.
around us as well. So that's another
Mm,
aspect of it as
mm,
well. And
yeah.
I know from your perspective, which was so true, that you avoid confrontation at any cost. So you will do,
Mm,
as soon as somebody says, do this, you'll
mm.
say jump and say how high,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
100%.
I'm going to
Yeah.
do that because I don't want you to be upset with me. And I
Yeah.
recognize that in me as well. And
Mm,
that's why I was not prepared to walk away from people who were not nice to me,
mm,
because I was thinking, oh my God, if I do that, then I'll be on my own, or I'll be alone. But when my husband left this realm, and when my boys went back to their uni and their own space, when I faced that loneliness, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. You know, in that moment, and it was not again straight away. It took me a year and a half to
mm.
get to that point. Like, I am alone. I'm not lonely. I can sit with myself. I can cook for me. I can love me. I can do lots of things for me. I start taking that as a gift of awareness, saying, Sangeeta, why were you so scared to let go of people who were not nice to you?
Mm,
And will you act differently now because with awareness? And you won't believe it. I let go of so many people after that awareness,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
lovingly letting go, saying, oh, I can see where you're operating from. Maybe you're not ready for that awareness, and I'm not here to fix you.
Mm,
But what I am not going to do is keep letting you in my life, in my energy, in my space to hurt me.
yeah.
I need to take care of me. I am already so hurt. I'm already so much in pain. I have no energy to give you, and I'm going to do this consciously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I
Consciously is the key
lovingly
word. Yeah.
release you. I have no energy left in me to just put up with certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I refuse,
Yeah.
you know. And that's what it comes, but it's like, yes, that perfectionism comes from that space of like, what if I'm not perfect? My God, maybe what will people think? What will people say? What will people do? And it's like, well, people can do whatever they
Whatever
want
they
to.
want. Yeah.
That awareness comes after a lot of healing I did for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
looked back and I thought, oh my God, I was carrying so much of trauma that was caused by somebody else. Again, there's a beautiful saying is that, yeah, other people can cause you trauma, but healing is your responsibility.
Mm, yeah.
Otherwise, you'll keep operating from same beliefs, same energy patterns, and that's why I think you and me were really called to talk about this energy and talk about the vibration and how we can shift that. Because again, if we stay in the space of grief and apathy, we cannot, and I want to really stress that out. We cannot create love. We cannot create joy. We cannot create, anything that is positive for us,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we are in that space. And again, no judgment. But yeah, it's the awareness. And we thought we'll talk to you guys about our own experiences. And we have done it all, and we are still learning. We are still learning
We're
to
still here on
hold
the
space
journey.
for ourselves
Yeah.
as well. But together, and I feel, Purnima, I don't know about you, when we are recording these podcasts, when we are talking about it, there's another thread or another something that drops in, isn't it? Either
Yeah.
I learn from you, your
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
and how you do it, or you learn from us, or and I we hope that people are gaining some awareness and knowledge, and shifting their vibration as
Yeah.
well through just us sharing our our lived experiences. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah. It does. And just before I go to the, the soul tool, you've touched on it, right? At every point, and again, as healers, we having to do a lot more work, inner work, and the healing, because that's, we have to obviously heal ourselves first before we go out and do work with others, right? And but the journey does, regardless of who you are, it does take time and patience. We live in a world where we want instant everything, right? The moment you think of something, you want it at your doorstep. And this, that exists today with Uber and the Deliveroos and the Amazons and all of that. Healing and awareness and understanding your inner self does take time. And it is something that you need to be, and I'm going to use the word selfish. You do need to be selfish. You do need to take that time for yourself every day, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night, be it gratitude, be it journaling, be it 10 minutes of silence, whatever it is, that is your gift to yourself. Because if you don't, and there's that saying that you only live once, but actually you die once. You live every day. So every 24 hours, don't judge yourself that, oh, I've spent 50 years of my life being this way. What's the point now? No, that 51st day or the next day is an opportunity to reset. Every day is an opportunity to reset. There is no right or wrong, or, like I think you mentioned earlier, that we are where we need to be in that moment. So trust that if something here connects with you, you can start. You can start today, this evening, with a few gratitude moments, or start tomorrow. Whatever that is, there is no, it's not too late, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Every day is an opportunity to start afresh or start something new. So, um, yeah, I just felt compelled to sort of share that. So, we're going to do a, a little soul tool.
Yeah.
And this is, again, we talked about people pleasing, and, when we can't say no uh, to people, or we can't say no to, let's say you get invited to uh, friends meeting up, and you're like, oh, I feel like I have to say no. I mean, I feel like I have to say yes, but you don't want to. Maybe you feel like, actually, I need some time alone to myself. And but we that oh my gosh, if I say no, I'll never be invited again. If I say no, they're going to think I'm a, they're going to have all these versions in. Again, those are all thoughts that we have within ourselves. So this is, so let's just, when you notice yourself about to
Yeah.
say yes, and actually what you mean and truly want to say is no, or you start, and I've done this, oh my God, the over explaining. I give my whole life story in one, there's something that comes up, and then I explain the whole thing. And I'm like, the over explaining, because if I over explain, they'll know that it's no. I'm not being difficult, or I'm not being rude. Here's a reason why. So when you want to say no, or you want to apologize, you start apologizing unnecessarily, or you're over explaining, or you tense in a conversation. Pause for a moment. Just notice and ask yourself quietly, what am I protecting right now? What feels unsafe in this moment? So, in the workplace, I'll give an example, right? It'd be asking for an increase, and then you go into over explaining. And the over explaining then derails you. It takes you to a place of pain, as opposed to, yes, you deserve it because you've done this, this, and this, but you don't feel confident to say that. So ask yourself, what is it that feels unsafe, or what am I protecting right now by doing this? Why am I doing this instead of this? And then take a slow breath and choose that honest response that's available to you. It might be asking you for more time. I'm saying no to a friend for dinner because I need more time to just, reset. Um, it may be just not overthinking, and because sometimes you're almost answering for the other person. So by over explaining, you're like, okay, yes, I think that this is what they're going to say, so let me just give everything out on the table, and then I don't give them any room to respond because I've answered everything. No, we don't know what's going on in someone else's mind. That's going on in your mind. That's your state of how you're feeling and experiencing. So say little, listen, and then respond. So we're reacting to something, but it's all to our own version of truth that's going on in our own mind, in our body, in our state. Less is more. Less is more. So um, this isn't about, all of a sudden changing everything overnight. It's about slow, steady steps, one day at a time. Someone said just 24 hours in a day. Just experience 24 hours in a day and observe, and then through that you'll start noticing change. We have no doubt about it because we've experienced it. There's no way. If I reflect on where I started as a child, growing up in South Africa during apartheid, experiencing that environment outside of home and in home, to where I am now, I you know I, I can't imagine it. So there's a reason it's happened, and it's happened because there's faith, there's trust, and yeah, it's using all these tools that are available out there. So there's
Right.
hope.
Yes, yes.
You're going to do a card pull for us now.
I'm already tuned into that, and
Thank you.
I'm pulling a card from Energy Oracle as we are talking about energy. And let's see where we are energetically, what we
Nice.
need there, and certain things you touched upon last minute, and I think some of them is going to become our topics to talk about, overthinking and the trauma responses and all of that. But once we go through this series of vibration, we'll talk about certain topics that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us go through and suffer, and I was just smiling when you were talking about it. It was like, yep, yep, I did that. Oh, I have done that in the past. But again, I'm feeling such sense of freedom
Mm,
that I don't have to do that anymore. I don't
yes.
feel the need to do it anymore. No means no. It's a
Yes.
complete sentence,
It's a safe no.
Um,
It's a safe no.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. And it's coming from self love.
Yeah.
It's not coming from anything else but
Yeah.
pure love for myself,
Yeah.
and I am, yeah. So let's take a card out for one card for the collective. Okay. Something clearly, few cards fell, but we'll leave them. But one of the card that came, fifth chakra, Archangel Gabriel, and guess what? Is the throat chakra.
Yeah.
It's like we are not surprised that it came out for with us and for us. And let's read it what it says. 39. So it says Gabriel hold his trumpet in one hand and a beautiful orb of blue light in the other. And he's sending powerful energy to your throat center, acknowledging your power to communicate and your readiness to do so. This angel opens you up to the truthful expansion, both with yourself and others. You may have had trouble with expressing emotions and ideas in the past, but Gabriel is here to tell you that your soul longs to take this leap now. Be aware that true communication includes how you speak to yourself. So never deny your profound integral value. Speak up for yourself. Write in your journal. Let your words flow. Now is the time to express yourself freely and fully, and the universe always honor your choice to do so. This card could also indicate that a communication project is coming, or a time of heightened communication with spirit, telepathy with others. How
Amazing.
perfect is that?
Amazing. Amazing.
And it is about us. Today, like I was guided to share where I felt should I go
Mm,
there or not. But I
mm.
was just so like, no, let's go there.
Yeah.
And that opened up the space for you. So for
Yeah.
both of us to share something that is very deep and personal and it makes us feel very vulnerable. Yeah. But
Hmm.
again, for us to honor that space,
Yeah.
it has happened and it is happening to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we talk about from a place of love, and it opens our throat up more to speak the truth. Like, it's creating definitely certain ideas. And I really feel, Punima, that you and me were guided to start this podcast for a much higher reason we don't
We don't
understand.
understand. Yeah.
We
And
really don't understand, and we feel we don't need to even
yeah.
understand. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We are just going with the flow. We are just being led through our own, spirit guides and our higher self and whatever, and we are going to go with the flow. So that's what I feel is happening here. So thank you very much for your that pause and reflection as well. And we hope that these messages really guide you as well. Not just they are not just for me and Purnima, although that of course resonate with us deeply. I really feel, if something in today's conversation resonate with you, and if you're feeling a quiet nudge to pause, reflect, or understand yourself more deeply. See, we didn't say anybody else, but yourself. You need to go within. Know that you don't have to navigate this journey on your own, because as me and Punima know, this journey gets tiresome, it gets very lonely, and sometimes we lose ourselves. So, we want you to know that Punima and I hold space, one to one spaces where we walk alongside you, help you reconnect with your inner wisdom and move through life with more clarity, compassion, and trust.
Thanks, Sangeeta. Yeah. Yeah. Again, thank you for sharing. And that felt, truly a beautiful card with Archangel Michael. And I felt the vibrations in my throat the
Yeah.
moment you read that. So thank you. Um, to our listeners, our work isn't about fixing you or giving answers. It's about creating a safe, grounded space where you can hear your own truth more clearly. If you feel called to explore that support, you'll find our details in the show notes. And if not, simply take what you need from this conversation today and let it meet you where you are. Fear, guilt, and shame, pride, anger are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that something in you once needed protection. And awareness doesn't erase them, it softens it. And in that softening, energy begins to move again. Be gentle with yourself, love yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.